county by county, I'm cycling through as many places as possible and exploring their relevance to us today. In this age of smart, well, everything basically, it's tricky to imagine a time when anything was different. For this generation anyway. Today, huge corporations vie for supremacy. Independent companies try to outdo each other within the market. Most specifically, individual male dominance expressed through how sick your car is. When competition did not depend on the size of your gear stick, it was the size of your family estate instead. This was the way in which your standing society was expressed. It was a time when racism and xenophobia prevented minorities from having any moderate standing in society. Amid this, Sir David Salomon decided that the glory of the Kentish countryside was the place to make things change. It was in 1829 that Sir David purchased a small villa with substantial grounds, and it was then with the help of architect Decimus Burton that it was converted into something bigger and grander, much to the amusement of its peers. The sumptuous grounds reflect the glowing revival of elaborate splendour in France at the time. This, rather than the European Gothic trend that was also flourishing. Although it was not the sudden possession of a new estate that brought Sir David Salomon to prominent attention. It was in 1835 he was elected Sheriff of the City of London and Lord Mayor in 1855. This was considered a consolatory prize as he was refused the position of MP in 1851 because he was a Jew. Through perseverance and determination, this decision was overturned and he was elected as MP for Greenwich in 1859. Through his new influence, David Salomon was also able to campaign for equal rights for his own community as well as the Quakers, Roman Catholics and other minorities. It was around about this period that a new set of tragic circumstances beset Sir David's life, however. His brother and sister-in-law died and he found himself looking after a young, orphaned nephew, Sir David Lionel Salomons, and they moved into a sizable family estate in 1860, and the fantastic wonder of the place struck him with awe for the first second, it seemed. It was in the early 1870s that the water placed among the gardens and a large set of stables built. Architect W. Barnsley Hughes set about helping Sir Lionel adapt the estate to a new, more Gothic age. The new additions to Solomon's, as it was now called, were only marred by the death of Sir David in 1873. Lionel was a man of the new Renaissance of Britain and attained many interests. Whilst acquiring the position of Mayor of Tunbridge Wells, he managed to be one of the first to arrange a motor show in the grounds of his estate. He was also an electrician and contributed much to the major innovations of the time. These inspirational turning points in social history included things like burglar alarms, automatic railway signs, and electric generating capabilities. These achievements did not only advance the interest of science, they were also instrumental in inspiring new additions to Sir Lionel's home as well. He built a scientific theatre in 1896, which included new lighting facilities and advanced changing abilities for the wings. The auditorium itself is still used for concerts to this day. The legacy of musical and scientific endeavour was enough to allow us to remember Sir Lionel for that which he left us. When he died in 1926, he left his wife a small batch of radium used in experiments in his will. An addendum to the document stated that it was dangerous to carry about in the pocket. Since that time, the estate was a convalescent home in the Second World War. It was also given to the National Health Service in the early 50s. National institutionalism moved out in 1971. There have been plans to turn the establishment into a national musical museum. these plans were bandied about in the late 70s and came to nothing. Perhaps it's because it's more important to have a gear stick, a smart gear stick indeed, between your legs today. This amazing estate and land, which holds so much heritage, is owned by an insurance company today. Many things can be said about this, though most importantly, it can be asserted that care is taken to maintain this magnificent house that still survives in its glory today. Next time on County Climbs, I'm looking at the tumultuous legacy left to us by our rocky ancestors. A legacy of defensive devices built around natural formative installations. This and how Roman raiders conquered our ripe shores to secure their own empire.
Beautiful.